Is it on? Yeah. It is on. It is on. Okay. Well, that's you, not me. Good morning. And since she can't hear very well, please all shut up. Okay. Yes. I'm Bob Brown, and coming in the door is Will Miller. We'll be talking to you today. I'm, as most of you know, was pastor here for 34 years at Coronado, and I'm here to give you some background and history on the church, and Will is here to explain why we got shingles inside. So we'll kind of share in on this, and I forgot to bring over, I've got a stack of histories of the church that I wanted to give to you, so we'll get them at some time here out of my box and have them at the back of the church for you. So what you're looking at right now is, this is video of the very last Sunday at the old building, Easter 1987. And that's my dad. You may recognize some of these people. Most of them have more hair than they do now. That's me. Yeah, Brenda Stauffer. Yeah, so a lot of you will recognize these people. I'm going to switch over to a slideshow and go through that, try to give you some brief history, and then let Will come in and we'll kind of interrupt each other. Let's see here if I can do We're recording this, I believe. Is it going to be available?
Should
Do
be.
I get any residuals on that? I think I should. Yeah, let's see. This is. Okay. Let's see if I can. This is the town of Coronado Beach existed. There were two towns, New Smyrna and Coronado Beach, and that's how we get the name Coronado Community United Methodist Church. This is the one-room schoolhouse built about 1903, and you can see the horse at the well. That well was an artesian well. It's still underneath the bricks at the corner of Flagler and Peninsula, which is where the building was. It was later moved to be the back room of the Coronado Beach Club, or as it was sometimes known, the Coronado Pleasure Club, which is now the Coronado Boutique. The church actually started in that schoolhouse, and by 1907, we don't have the exact dates, it looked like this. This is a picture taken in 1910. And notice that the person taking that picture is standing in the middle of Peninsula and Columbus Avenue. Picture kind of speaks for itself. That's what the inside of the church looked like at the time of World War I. Ladies' Aid. They're all wearing white because they were all virgins. Okay, that's what this is undated, but the chancel looked like that when I came here. Chancel and Choir Loft. Here's a better picture of the center of the church, and I think isn't that Doe Miller getting married? Somebody recognize that picture? I think that's Doe Miller, whose sister Babe Paxton. Together they left in what became the endowment for our church. But that sure looks like Doe. In 1947, we can see those opera-style seats. They're still kicking around the church here somewhere. We used to have them out in the narthex. Those were donated in 1910 by Mr. Gamble of Procter & Gamble. 1936, total receipts, $531. The choir in 1936. And in 1950, not as many of them wearing white. 1987, none of them. Yeah, that's me. My wife Becky right here. Where are you? Donna Barron is right there. There's Donna Barron. Diana Hughes. Alice Nieberger's back here. Number of other people you could recognize. Just edit the hair out and you can recognize some of these people. This picture, by the way, is taken during the 13 months that we were out of a building. We demolished the old building in April, May of '87, moved into the new building Mother's Day of '88, and in between, we rented the Coronado Civic Center for worship, and that picture was taken there. 1993, and we finally switched to color in 2009. There's a financial report from 1954. And the month before I moved here in '81, the church sold the retreat houses, which were over there at the corner of Maryland and Atlantic Avenue. They've been retreat houses for churches from around the country. And they finally had to sell them. But they were there until then. So we had people 20 years after that. I was having churches call me from up north asking if they could reserve them. It was a very popular ministry. Okay, Bible school. Is anybody here that's in that picture? Terry? Where are you, Terry? Where are you, Terry? This is you? Okay, this is before. Now, Terry, stand up. This is after. Some former pastors, some of you may remember on the right. Isn't that Corky Ross on the right? That doesn't look like him. Who are these people? I don't know any of them. Dick Bingham's on the right. Julius Keating on the left. No, I don't think that's Caxton Doggett. Caxton Doggett moved here in 1938 to be the pastor of this church. He met a local girl and they got married and in 1938, and he was here for the final service in the old building in 1987 and just died a few years ago. He was 98 when he died and loved this church so much. I don't know if that was Dick Bingham there or not. Pardon? Okay. Now, this is the old parsonage, which I understand was a fire hazard and death trap. Do you know where that is? Yeah. If you walk out the kitchen door here, there's a great big oak tree. That's the great big oak tree. That building had been removed by the time I got here. The building on the left is a house, and to build a new building, we needed that lot, and we waited 2 years till that owner was interested in selling. That's Sharon Daniels, our former pastor's wife, 1979. Fashion show, yes. And y'all can instantly recognize me. I think you probably can't instantly recognize Becky. Okay, Becky, that's before. Stand up for after. Easter service was always such a joy on the beach. And then by 1986, we were looking at building a new building, and at that point, I'm going to let Will Miller take over. Will, where'd you go? Come up here. I'm going to get those histories and give you about 2 minutes to talk without me correcting you. I'll tell you this. Yes.
The histories are here.
Oh, are they? Okay, great. She's inside. Carrie has them, and yeah. Yeah, why don't you pass them out? That'll give some people something to do instead of listening to Will. When I first came here, they were talking about the need to build a new building. And Neil Schweitzer, our consultant, worked with us on it, and we finally realized we're starting to grow, and the old building was deteriorating. And we said, can we hire you to be the architect? Said, don't do that, so you get the best architect around in your own church. But then we found Will. No, Will Miller, who, by the way, if you've been to Riverview Grill or Norwoods, the building looks awfully similar to our sanctuary. Look at the woodwork. We did those two. Will Miller, who is you're still been an architect in this town for a long time and a member of the church, and we're good friends.
Yeah, I was 12 when I did the building. Not only is Bob a public speaker for all these years, Bob's a great public.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah, it is, okay. Now, Bob's a great public speaker. His mentor was Johnny Carson, so I can't do that. But absolutely great memories here. We moved up, my family moved up, and we didn't have any kids, just Sandy and I, in 1976. So then we started having kids. Jonathan's over there at the table. Shaved his head a year or two ago. Yeah, so it's so we did look. I mean, no one wanted to lose the old small. It was known as the Little White Church on the beachside. And no one wanted to lose that at all, but we got up in the attic. I don't even know, I remember going to the attic with you and the contractor and saying, don't touch the bell, don't ring the bell anymore, because there's nothing keeping it from falling down, whoever's ringing it. And everything way substandard. The wiring, I mean, everything. So it's like you could build a replica of the old church, but that's what it would be, is a replica. And so the depth of the meaning of the church would be lost completely. So in that, I turned it around too, because the entrance, everybody came right off of the sidewalk. There wasn't any place for the congregation to gather before or after the sermon, because the road's right there. So you came down the steps right onto the sidewalk and then the road. So in that sense, we had this big oak tree, and turning it around so you entered through the court and created a courtyard for the Sunday schools to come off of. And so just kind of the layout there happened and changed.
Let me interject here. To show you the genius Will has as an architect, when we moved into the new building, everybody said, where did that oak tree come from? In the courtyard. And I'll tell you where it came from. We had the old education building over there. If you went through the education building, through the kitchen, out the kitchen, past a paint locker, and behind a stack of garbage cans, there was the oak tree. And not a soul knew that that tree even existed. Will noticed that and made it the center of the building.
So getting back, and Bob and I worked together from the very beginning on things, and a lot of discussion, really, Bob and I both, on the design and so forth. So remembering that most people did not want to lose the old building. It had been here, they grew up in the church, and this was the old building. Completely, Sunday schools all were completely very rough and dilapidated. And in design, it's not the height of the building, the color of the building, the pews, the way the orientation is, And it's not, but it's all those things, doing all those things in a cohesive and way that'll last for years, that's meaningful, and you've got to begin to think, what am I trying to do? And pretty much in the designs that I evolved doing, the way to do it is to try to create intimacy and a feeling. So the houses I do, the commercial buildings I do, feel more like a house. I don't see a commercial being cold and stark and a house being warm, but I see it all being the same. Why should a commercial building be different? In the offices and certainly the church. So in the church, I tried to make the people with the new church, so it's not a contemporary church that I saw. It's basically taking things that we saw visually and feelings that we got from the old church and reusing them in the new church. One of those was the slope roof and keeping the church on the corner, which meant we had to move to go to another place while this is being built, rather than building the new church in a different way. Felt that was important, and knowing that would be the centerpiece that you see from the road. But I wanted to use white stucco. The old church was white stucco outside, sprayed on the new church as well. Inside, white walls, the old church. Inside, red carpet. There was red carpet. So we used the red carpet, reused the pews all we could, and reorganized them in a different way than they were, so it fit. And less space for overflow seating, because we had a winter, there's 3 times more people. Summer, I didn't want it to feel lonely in the summer. We even took a piece of the old altar and cut it out, and it's in the middle of the altar now. So a piece of the old pine is down with oak on each side to reuse that. And we reused quite a few things. The stained glass, there was 11 stained glass, and the angle that are here. So we reused the 11 stained glass, and then we decided we need to replace Judas. So, and get 12 stained glass for the symbolism of the 12 disciples. So we had another 12th piece made, and so if you count, there's 12. One of them was a little different color than the others, less colored and less blue. So the new one we made to kind of match that in color. So the new one and the other odd one are at the end, and then 10 along the side. And just putting the stained glass in there, I felt it'd be nice to make some kind of detailing between the two. So there's some wood slats, if you see, that shaped in the hands of prayer. So it's as if you're praying, prayer hands between it. And several other things thinking. A lot of little spacers I've got, like in the pieces of wood coming down between there's little detailing, dentils it's called, on each side, that are, there's 10 of those. I started seeing that there's a biblical number for things. And as the pieces drip down, there's 3 pieces of wood there that I felt would be 3 biblically is.
Yeah, 3 is a biblical number, and I'm trying to remember the details on that.
God, the Son, the
Father, Son, oh yeah, the Trinity, yeah. We're going through ways.
And then you'll see other places too. Up in the cross, there's 3 at the bottom coming up. I think there's 12 pieces above that where the cross comes across. 3 above, or 5 above that. 5 stands.
5 loaves and 2 fishes.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the word? There's I don't know how to say it. Pentateuch.
The Pentateuch, first 5 books of the law of Moses.
There you go.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure you?
No, I don't know.
He went to Auburn for architecture school. Looks like he's expecting some
No,
Bible classes.
I think in the altar too, there's 5. There's 7 pieces going down, but all of this. When I was doing it, I was trying to pick pieces that would be symbolic and biblically, And I realized there's a biblical symbolicism for about every number there is. So I can pick anything, pretty much a number. 40 pieces, 40 days of, so it's like, so it made it easy. And the answer to why there's shingles on the inside is that I really try not to see a difference between the inside and the outside. So it's a lot of trying to bring the outside in and the inside out and have again, a cohesive feeling. Not that there's a veneer on the outside to feel and look one way and a different feeling inside. So, and pretty much it's just the way.
Originally, the church roof was shingles.
Yeah.
Replaced later with.
So the old church was shingles, we used shingles, beams and so forth. We did little things that would give it, I didn't want it to feel, so it's still like the white church on the beach side on the corner, and trying to keep that same feeling. I mean, everyone in the church at that time did not want to tear down the old church. It was this quaint thing, and so everybody had grown up there. So it isn't like 10% or 50%, it's like everybody. So, and that really, we used it in our favor, I think, to give us a starting point, not even just starting point, we kind of designed the church by itself. How many seats we needed and so forth, that was discussed, some overflow. Try not to get too big for the future, because you don't know what the future's going to happen with a church particularly. But it was absolutely wonderful. They had a great contractor that was in a wheelchair, incredibly great, and so everything went together, and a lot of fun and enjoyment. I'd say what Bob mentioned with the oak tree gave us the courtyard, which becomes, I'm going to say, extremely valuable for the church. It's where you see people, you greet people, food's out there, sometimes drinks, things happen out there. I know they had slideshows for youth or something at one time, Sunday nights or something, and movies or something out. So that was really nice. I'll give it back to Bob with his.
Yeah, one of the challenges was that we had many more people in the winter than summer, so we had to design a building that would not look empty in July, but accommodate everybody in January. And when we first opened, this was a wooden wall, and then it became wooden doors with windows, and then it became an accordion door. So it flexes. Say a word about the angles of the cross and the pulpit.
Yeah, we, in looking, the cross lines up with the aisle. I don't know if the peak of the roof is off-centered from the aisle, so it's it's not symmetrically loaded. And then the pulpit, which is no longer there, the red carpet's no longer there. The pulpit. When I came a couple months ago, I was noticing things that were different, and that's fine. And but go ahead.
Will asked me for an Auburn graduate, a very profound question. He said, "Bob, what is the theological focus of a Methodist church? Is it the altar or the pulpit? Is it the altar where you give offerings to God and receive communion? Is it the pulpit where the word is given?" And I said, "Well, it's kind of, either way." And so what Will did, you come down the center of the church, you focused on the altar. If you were sitting over here and looking, the line goes through where the pulpit was, the lines intersect at the cross. And that's a rather profound theological statement. I'll also say this, the way we worked was the committee and I would tell Will what we wanted, and then he would just do what he wanted. If you've worked with Will, you understand that, but the results were pretty darn good. So that was.
Yeah, one thing too. And Bob did a good job for an Emory graduate. The main thing I try to do in life, in everything, is to have meaning. So meaningful things, what is meaningful in our own lives. Otherwise, it's just you can buy them a store. And in the field of creating, you're able to try to give meaning. And I think, and that's why with the colors, with the feeling of trying to make you feel comfortable if you've been here 50 years in the old church, with some symbolisms and things and the numbers of things and reusing things, reusing the pews to comfortable. And the oak tree, let's say the courtyard was something new. So you're looking for opportunities to do something new. And geez, I just, when Bob and I were over there, Owen Davison came in and he told us he was going to fact check everything we said. So, so he was here too, helping on things. But so it's the whole thing in life and in buildings. You try to make it meaningful. Everything you do is some kind of meaning to you or to someone else, or to try to enrich the world however you can. So back to Bob.
So we moved in May of '88, and the church grew, continued to grow for a number of years. By the end of the 1990s, we realized we were outgrowing our facilities. So we went to some consultants with the Florida Methodist Conference, worked with them extensively about how to deal with all the growth, and they came up with a proposal on what to do here. And so we had a building committee formed, and we brought this consulting firm in, and they had some drawings of what should be done, some architectural ideas on it. And as a courtesy, we asked Will Miller to also suggest what should be done in expanding our facilities. We really didn't want to work with you again, Will, but there were some good reasons why we'd gone with the consultants out there at the time. But so the committee got together, and the consultants came in. They had all these diagrams and charts and graphs, and great presentation. And then Will's out there, and Will's kind of going, you know, and he kind of comes in his laid-back way and blew us away. Realized some things that the others didn't, and we ended up hiring him to expand the building.
Can I say something?
No.
It wasn't me. I came with a pretty girl. It was Dawn Beeman.
That's right. That's right. None of us looked at Will. We all looked at Don Beeman. You got it. That's exactly what happened. Was anybody here on that committee? Not that I'll admit it. So the long story in our building process, I will say this, that we had hopes of building a huge new building over where the parking lot is and expanding the day school and education area. And we presented that concept to the church at a morning meeting, 9 a.m. on September 11th. Yeah, and we put everything on hold for a year, and I think that impacted psychologically the growth of the church. The trauma of September 11th transferred itself to our plans, I believe. So we regrouped and came up with a modified plan, came up with pressed on with that plan store. We hired Will, and we presented it to the church the night that President Bush declared war on Iraq. We just could not have had worse timing. Plus there was a recession going on. So we ended up forgetting the building over there, which broke my heart. I'm so grateful we didn't do it. I'm so glad that we failed, because I saw other churches building big buildings at the crest of the attendance patterns in churches, and all those people that go to church every Sunday are dead now. And they may come once a month, which cuts your attendance by 75% right there. So I thank God we didn't have that building to support. We had to sell some of the property we bought to finance the addition to the day school over there you see now is all new. The music lecture suite is all new. And what we did was turned it over to Will, and Will did what he usually did, which was destroy things. we fought him tooth and nail. He actually tore down a perfectly good Sunday school room we had. And also, people have asked about the greeting room over there. That was the choir room. And he turned it into an open area for greetings. And a space, that side of it, was a classroom, and he just tore the heck out of it. And why did you do that, Will? You don't remember, do you?
I was looking forward to the future, not the past.
Yeah, looking forward to the future.
One thing if
And
you could do, this is really important. The most incredible sermon I've ever heard was Bob's sermon.
wait, I want this.
No, really the most incredible, meaningful sermon I felt that everyone needed in the church, Bob did, and he used metaphorically, when we had to tear down the old church, it was about traditions. We have a tradition of the old church, and I'll let him explain his grandmother, his family, and what they did on Thanksgiving, because it was so good. If you don't remember it, I'll remember it.
You tell the story.
I mean, to me, this is what I got out of it. The whole sermon, when we came to the church and said we needed to tear it down to build a new church, Bob's sermon was on traditions, and that they had tradition in their family every Thanksgiving to have Thanksgiving at their grandmother's house, and they would go up and how memorable and how great it was. And then one year their grandmother died, and that, what do we do about Thanksgiving? And so they started a new tradition. I don't know what it is, but so a new tradition. And the way he put that into the building, that things are perishable, everything is perishable, and how it's normal. And to take that and use that is a future, and to be proud of the fact that you had those memories, and there's a new traditions are starting, to start a new tradition rather than just sit around feeling sad about the one that you're missing. So.
I think you can see why we hired Will. Well, the Sunday school room we tore down is why you have a view of the sanctuary and the courtyard when you come in now. It opened it up for everybody. And our goal back when, in the good old days, when you walked out of the church and you were on the street and had to go home, what people in this church have never known each other. It's just one of the traditions of this church. People don't know each other. They come from different parts of the world. They don't know each other, even if they've been in the church many years. And so we wanted a place where people would bump into each other in the courtyard and have to start talking to each other. And we're still working at it. It's still an uphill battle to get people to know each other. But that's why the architecture does that for us. So anyway, we added on everything from everything from the greeting area that away is new from 2003 or 2004, and so and now we're here. So that's history. Let me do. It's about time to eat, I think. Let's take a few questions, and then afterwards, while you're eating, I'll show the rest of the slideshow and show a video of the last service and the demolition of the building. If you see a picture of the demolition, when the equipment is knocking down the walls, a steeple's still standing, and somebody said, "Oh, look how sturdy it was," and they said, "No, it's because it wasn't tied in. It wasn't connected. It was just standing there free." And that's one of the reasons we had to tear the place down. It just wasn't there. Okay, questions? Fred.
Yeah, Bob, you've written me about this. Would you opine to the crowd here about your philosophy about structure and churches and the cycles as it relates to maybe another church in our area right near here that would like to grow and be bigger, and what your philosophy is?
Well, one of the things about churches, Becky and I have been in churches all our life, grown up in Parsons, or to them. Churches go through life cycles just like trees, and they grow, they mature, and then they start losing branches, and if you're fortunate, some of those acorns start new trees. So every church goes through a cycle. This church grew, we quadrupled in size. And now we're significantly smaller than we were when all those people that came to church every Sunday were still alive. Plus, the people who move down here now, they don't look for a church every Sunday. They look to see how long it gets to Port Canaveral to take a cruise. I mean, it's a cultural difference. So I think it's really important for churches to recognize that that there is a cycle. They're not. It's very misleading in a lot of fields to project a linear path of growth. We're going to get bigger and bigger every year. It's not true in life, and it cycles back and forth. And you have to allow for that. Everybody can point to some church that's growing explosively, but that's because it's new. Give it 10 years, see what it looks like. 20 years, see what it looks like. I mean, this church was started in 1904, and we've been very fortunate to have gone through a complete cycle of growth, some retrenchment, and I foresee more growth in the future now. But those cycles go through, so don't do what I did when we were looking at that building for the whole 1,200 people and say, well, we're projecting out our growth, we'll be needing that. Well, I thank God we didn't do it. And it's church buildings can be a trap. You can get locked into one location. You can get locked into mortgage payments. You have to be very careful in building buildings that you don't limit or define your ministry. We're fortunate that we had a long history here and knew who we were. But we still had to try to project what will we be. And that's tough to do. So I think every church has to really look at those long term. And we decided not to move from the beachside. We were the Coronado Community Church. That was our identity. And so we decided to stay here at this corner, the very historic area. We were an area that the houses around us were falling apart. So we were able to purchase them as they were falling apart. And we were right here on the edge of the commercial district, and were able to fit in historically. We've been here since 1903, 1904, and we're able to commit to that. Yes?
Well, thank you, Dr. Peter. One of the things, too, the key things that I felt at the time, Bob said, the Coronado Community Methodist Church, with the expansion plans that the church started to do, building retirement centers maybe for retired preachers, with a basketball gymnasium, with a big 1,200 square foot worship, the community got very upset. And we saw ourselves as not being part of the community, but being the opposite of that.
Taking over the community instead of being part of it.
About who are we and who are we not? And we're the small church on the beach side, little white church in the beach side, for the beach side community, not necessarily draw all these people. We had a lot of people from Sugar Mill, really good people in the church coming. So the feeling was we're growing, but we've got to be true to its first principle, to go back to who are you and who are you not, and not try to serve, to be something you're not. And that's where a lot of things get lost in the growth, becomes almost poison to the purpose and the need. So,
we also tried not to be too efficient. Efficiency would be to build a 3-story concrete block of a building with lots of rooms in it. Instead, we left trees in the way. It was very important to not pave everything. It was very important to leave as many trees as possible. It was important to have the zigzag pattern outside there kind of opens it up instead of makes it a monolith. And we tried to be welcoming and respectful of the community as we're doing that. We became our own neighbors. As we bought land for expansion, we always kept at least one house between us and the buildings of the church. And because sometimes we can be overwhelming with that many people that come, but we always owned the house that was our neighbor, and that way we were more respectful of them, perhaps. What else? Anything else? Okay, so I'll just start the slideshow again, but start eating. I don't know what the protocol is for eating, but I'll just show the slides. If you recognize, somebody get a prize if they recognize Terry's mother. in the pictures here. And then I'll show some pictures of the demolition. Thank you all so much, and be sure and take a copy of this history.